You love the Well by Tridel in downtown Toronto, but you don't like the price tag. I can tell you firsthand, working with tons of buyers and tons of tenants, you're not alone. But what if I told you you can live across the street and still take advantage of the Well as a development? So if you love the Well development, the mall, and want to live at the Well, but not pay Well prices, well, here are some alternatives right across the street that I would recommend, and I'm going to rank them in terms of which ones I would recommend the most and which ones I would recommend the least. And as always, I can't stop myself from talking. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about each building. Some of these buildings you should already know if you're a longtime viewer of this channel. Let's get started. I mean, the Well is really pricey. Let's take a look at what we're talking about and what your potential savings can be. Just a basic search. Let's take a look at what has really sold in the Well. See, the main intersection of the Well is Spadina and Front. And here you have the Well condos. Let's just limit it to this. Bam. This little circle. These are the proper actual official Well condos built by Tridel. So within that aforementioned vicinity, let's take a look at what has actually sold. And here we see the only units that have actually sold. For example, the lowest sale was this unit that sold for $753,000, only 600 to 699 square feet. And you know, the inside is pretty decent. It is the typical introductory Tridel unit. And keep in mind, at 753, you didn't get any locker and no parking spots. And although I don't have the exact square footage, if it's, let's say, 650, definitely sold for much higher than $1,000 per square foot. If it's in the low 600s, it's sold for even higher. And if it's, you know, close to the 700s, the 690s, still above $1,000 per square foot. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's the Tridel standard, there's the Tridel premium. If you're okay paying these prices, they might be fair market value for what has gone in the Well. But if you're looking for an alternative, a little bit more budgetary, a little bit more affordable, I'm gonna tell you which building to look at, which is this building I've discussed many times in the past, Fly Condos, right across the street. Fly Condos is a pretty decent building. It's not perfect. I've discussed the pros and cons on this channel when I sold a unit in this building, and I did a video for that. But before I go through the pros and cons of this building, it is an older building. It's not as luxury. It's not like run down or beat up anything, but it's a bit older, obviously, but it's literally across the street. If we go to maps and want to see where this is, we can see literally it's right here, right across from Spadina and Front, right across the Well. And for comparison's sake, let's see what has sold at 352 Front. Now, obviously I know, but for an exercise for you guys to better understand, and we see the most recent sold was this one bedroom unit 1920 for 500 to 599, sold for $565,000. Before that, there was this unit 819, which sold for $770,000, so almost the same price as the 1+1 we just looked at the Well, but it's a 2-bedroom, 2-washroom, it has parking, has locker, and is above 800 square feet. Now, let me quickly break down the pros and cons because it's not a perfect building and there's certain attributes the Well has or what the Well buildings have that this building doesn't. For example, there's no parking, there's no free visitor parking, it's paid parking. And sometimes the concierge is a bit overworked. The concierges there are always so helpful and so attentive, but there's a lot of people coming and going and sometimes they leave their desk like 15 minutes at a time. And besides very rare occasional elevator outages, there hasn't been any issues. My clients have been very satisfied. I just leased a unit in that building as well. Got a really good 1-bedroom for a client of mine in that building for around $2,300 to $2,400 if I recall. And the maintenance per square foot in the Fly is far less than a lot of Well condos. A lot of the Well condos already have a maintenance per square foot of $1 and above per square foot. But you might ask, well, is this the only alternative that's right across the Well development? Well, no. There are even more alternatives and substitutes that are budgetary for you to be close to the Well but not pay Well prices. However, I rank those buildings slightly below the Fly 352 Front. We're talking about the Concord Front Street buildings, namely 363, 371, and 393 Front Street. And I believe there's also 397 as well. Those 4 towers in total are all Concord buildings, and they're paired up. Like each pair is kind of connected by the lobby, by the underground parking. And they're passable. They're definitely, in some cases, better than the Concord buildings that are on the west side of Spadina in proper City Place. And they're also very affordable as well. Price per square foot in those buildings and also the Fly is anywhere from $200 to $300 less than what you're buying at the Well. So those can also function as substitutes and alternatives, but if I had to categorize which one I like the most, I would probably have to say 352 Front. And of course, further west of the Well is the Minto condos, the one on Bathurst, and I think it's 576 Front. Those are not really substitutes because those have a higher price per square foot, and at that point you might as well just buy at the Well. But what about rental savings? How much are you saving on a rental basis? Let's once again take a look. Well condos that have been leased. Now it's a lot, it's 393. I'm not surprised. And looking at what has actually leased in the building in the new year, let's take a look at this one, for example, in 470 Front, once again, the Well, a 1+1, one washroom, no parking, no locker, 600 to 699. According to the listing, exactly 609 square feet, leased for about 2,600. And then for comparable in the Well unit, and then when we pull up what has leased in the Well, that's a 1+1. And we have this list, and I'm gonna select this one for a specific reason. Unit 2103, leased for 2,200. No parking, a bit smaller, but this is in the high 500s. This is around 560. And the reason I know that is because yours truly was the leasing agent. As I always mention, I don't just talk from the seat. I'm actively out there every day working for buyers, sellers, and tenants. I know the market quite well, the buildings quite well, because I'm also on the ground every day. So of course, to be fair, it's not a perfect 1-for-1. This is a bit smaller, about 50 square feet smaller, and it's a different building, right? It's older, but this one had a CN Tower view and all that when we rented it. And it went for 2,200 versus the 2,600. So I always try to be very measured. If you're okay to pay the Well premium and want to live at the Well, then of course ignore this video. But if you want the Well experience, but want more budgetary choices and don't want to pay Well prices, well, in my opinion, 352 Front is your best bet. You also have the Concord Front Street buildings, 363, 371 to all the way to 397 to fall back on as well. Although those ones are a little bit more of a mixed bag versus 352 Front. Guys, I am a Toronto realtor. Definitely do get in touch with me for any buying, selling, leasing inquiries. My link is in the bio. Do not hesitate. Thank you very much for watching. Also, subscribe if you find this content informative, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you.